The Acolyte Season 2 might just be announced this weekend as Disney just made a huge mistake.
You made a big mistake. Huge!
There it is.
This weekend is D23. This is an event where we get announcements for Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, and all the Disney IPs. From updates to trailers to announcements of new shows and movies. There will be a ton of great news for Disney projects over this weekend. However, for Star Wars specifically, this might be the biggest weekend of the year, as we might be seeing the first trailer for Skeleton Crew and maybe even a teaser trailer for Andor Season 2. There's also rumor that we could be getting the next animated Star Wars show announced this weekend, and there could be even more surprises on the way. And one of those surprises might just be the announcement for Acolyte Season 2, as Disney slipped up and accidentally titled an event this weekend with something it's not supposed to say.
You made a big mistake. Huge!
Now, D23 is not just about announcements, it's also celebrating the projects that came out over the last year, one of those being The Acolyte. And the event celebrating The Acolyte show will feature Manny Jacinto, who played Chimere, or The Stranger, in The Acolyte. In the description for this event says, "Join The Acolyte's Manny Jacinto as he reflects on the first season of the series and reveals new insights on The Stranger." Yeah, that's right, the first season of the series, implying that there are more seasons on the way. Now, I'm sure this event with Manny Jacinto is going to be cool. His performance in season 1 was awesome, and we really don't know much about his character, The Stranger. We don't even have his name yet. We just refer to him as Chimere because that was the alias that he took in episode 2 of the series. We don't know his Sith name, Darth the Stranger? Nope. And we don't know his actual name either. Quick side note, does anybody know what Darth Maul's real name is? Darth Maul is clearly his Sith name, just like Anakin Skywalker has Darth Vader, or Count Dooku has Darth Tyrannus, or Palpatine has Darth Sidious. But even after Maul isn't a Sith anymore, he goes by the name Maul. So tell me in the comments below, what's Darth Maul's real name? But going back to the topic at hand, back to The Stranger. This event is confirming that The Acolyte that we watched earlier this year was the first season of The Acolyte, implying that there are more seasons on the way. Now you might be saying,
Mike, that doesn't necessarily mean that The Acolyte will be getting a second season. They might just be calling it a first season because it is the first season.
No! They could have phrased this in any sort of way they wanted, without calling The Acolyte's first season a first season. And us Star Wars fans have gone through this already. Many fans wanted a Kenobi Season 2, but the Obi-Wan Kenobi show was marketed as a limited series. And even after Obi-Wan came out and there was events like D23, it was never referred to as a first season. It was always referred to as a limited series. So if The Acolyte was supposed to be a limited series from the beginning, then it would be still marketed as a limited series. But clearly they're saying what we watched earlier this year is a first season, and there will be more on the way. Now this news might not come as a surprise to many of us at all, as clearly The Acolyte ended with the possibility of there being a second season, and many fans wanting to see the continuation of the twins and Chimere's character. But there is a portion of the Star Wars fandom that really disliked the Acolyte show. And let's be honest, they're screaming a lot louder than anybody else. And there was a big concern across the Star Wars fandom that Lucasfilm was going to listen to all these people screaming and not give us a second season, which would be insane. The Acolyte finale just gave us the first ever canon appearance of Darth Plagueis. And I don't know about you guys, but I definitely want to see more of that guy. I want to see him training with Chimere and Osha. And hopefully, if we're lucky, eventually I want to see him train Palpatine.
You ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Now, there always is the possibility that Disney did want a second season of The Acolyte, but they listen to the fans that are screaming louder than everybody else, and they don't give us a second season. This has actually happened before in the Star Wars fandom. Do you remember Solo, A Star Wars Story? Solo got a lot of crap for many different reasons. First of all, it was the first Star Wars project to release after The Last Jedi, and The Last Jedi really divided the Star Wars fandom. It was also released in the same month as Avengers Infinity War, which was one of the biggest movies ever. And although there was a lot more story to be told with those characters, as the Solo movie ends on sort of a cliffhanger, the plans for a Solo 2 or whatever project was coming were canceled, as the people who were screaming louder than everybody else didn't want to see more of the Solo Star Wars story. So could that be the same thing that's going on here with the Acolyte Season 2? Or is Lucasfilm learning from their mistakes? But that brings us to what a second season of The Acolyte would even be about. This first season saw the death of many of the main characters of the series. From Master Indara dying in the opening scene of the show, to Torben dying in episode 2, Kelnaka dying in episode 4, Jeki getting stabbed 3 times in the chest in episode 5, with Yord getting his neck snapped in episode 5. And of course, the cherry on top, Master Soul getting choked to death in the finale. Come to think of it, the Jedi really take an L in this Acolyte's first season. But with all of those characters being dead, what would a second season even be about? Well, at the end of the Acolyte finale, it was revealed that Chimere was the former Padawan to Venestra Rho, meaning there was some sort of falling out between Venestra and Chimere that ended with Chimere falling to the dark side and having this crazy scar on his back that looks like it's from a whip, and it just so happens that Venestra Rho has a lightsaber whip.
Coincidence? I think not!
And Venestra thought that Chimere was dead, as her first reaction to sensing Chimere's presence on Brendok is, "You're alive." And if that story within itself is not enough, the finale ends with Venestra going to tell Master Yoda about this revelation, about the fact that her former Padawan is still alive. Having Yoda and the High Council now be involved in this mystery changes a lot. It could allow us to see very familiar faces in a second season. Not only just Yoda, but Plo Koon, Uriel Poof, Yaddle. All of these people should be members of the Jedi High Council and would be seen in a second season. And as we know, those Jedi characters cannot know that the Sith have returned. And just like in the first season, they're going to have to find a way around it. Because as of right now, it just seems like Chimere, who's the former Padawan to a Jedi, is just a rogue Jedi, seemingly working by himself. Little do the Jedi know that Darth Plagueis is pulling the strings from behind the scenes. So without a doubt, there is plenty of story to be told in a second season of The Acolyte, and the only question remains is, will it be announced this weekend? And like I said at the top of the video, D23 could give us a ton of cool announcements, maybe even trailers for Andor Season 2 and Skeleton Crew. But one of the biggest announcements we could get this weekend is that The Acolyte will be receiving a second season. And Disney made the big mistake of calling that first season a first season. But tell me what you think in the comments section below. Do you think this was Disney making a huge mistake and accidentally releasing that there will be a second season by calling The Acolyte's first season a first season? Or do you think they won't be announcing a second season at all? Tell me in the comment section below. And did you know the next live-action Star Wars series, Skeleton Crew, received its release date? And not only that, we also got all the main characters' names and exclusive interviews with the creators of the show. Well, I explain all of it in this video right here.